Hello, everyone. Welcome to this discussion on why Black Lives Matter. We're very happy to be here, and I think this is part 58. Yeah. So today we decided to talk about cultural self-identification. And so how this topic came about is a few days ago, Anastasia shared an article about the census 2020 in the United States. And yeah, it basically said that the demographics were changing, but also, and more importantly, that people had the right to check in boxes about their nationality and their culture, and so their origins, and not just their like big category, skin color or ethnic group, race, basically. And so, yeah, they were allowed to say that, for example, they were Black and Jamaican, or Middle Eastern and Egyptian. And so it felt like a big step forward, big positive change. And yeah, it felt really good to read about that and see that how people identify or how people have a right to identify themselves as is changing. And so self-identification might be a little bit complex because like how people identify themselves is very unique. But I think it's a good idea to talk about this tonight, today. And yeah, share about the importance of self-identification, because obviously identity is a big part of ourselves, and this is why we are having this discussion today, because if we didn't have a sense of identity, we would then remotely have to hold this discussion all these weeks and feel connected to each other. So yeah, I just want to start by asking you guys, what did you think about this article and the census 2020?
Hello. I thought it was cool because I actually, you're supposed to participate. I don't know if everyone does, but I participated for my household at the time. And yeah, I think they said something like the number of like Black people or mixed people had gone up, and then like Caucasian, the number of Caucasian like went down. Not that like people were like dying or anything, but like they noticed a decrease and an increase. So I thought that was interesting too, because I also noticed that, like you were saying too, it never really had like that specific of options before, where you could say like, oh, well, I'm this and this. It was always just kind of like, oh, well, are you this? And then like there was another section for like Latino, am I correct? So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, because also too, like I've also been marked as white in different settings, like if I like had tickets or something, like traffic violations, but like that's not what I identify as. So like being able to like participate and see the statistics from what each individual is identifying as, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I feel good about that. yeah, anything anyone else would like to share? What did you find interesting about the statistics of the 2020 census?
So I feel like one of the things that kind of comes up for me is the sense that people's truth is actually allowed through more. So as you identify yourself, it's kind of like it's almost that thing of not being boxed in to a certain identity, because generally my experience with things like census is there's the very mutually exclusive categories. And so you're kind of almost forced to make a choice. Whereas now, where somebody is allowed to self-identify, it seems like a new layer of freedom, a new layer of allowing the bigger picture or the more true picture to shine through. So that's the thing that kind of stood out for me, is just this allowing the truth to be revealed at almost more granularly, like it's like at a deeper layer, the truth is kind of being revealed. So yeah, that's one of the things that really stood out for me. And as you said, identity is such a significant component of who we are. And so in order for us to be free to fully identify ourselves as we choose to, as opposed to a category that somebody else determined, feels like a good step and a healthy step in the right direction.
Yeah, it was powerful. And also, one thing that I'm realizing is that culture is way more important than I guess we thought like a few years ago. Obviously, there is this sense of like a nation as a whole, but like cultural identity can make the face of a nation vary from person to person. For example, like in France, someone from the north of France doesn't have the same culture as someone from the French Caribbean, but they're still in that country that says that it's one and indivisible, like it's undivided. It's like one of the values of France. But like, allowing this freedom to define ourselves is very empowering, because then like in society, people don't need to define you for you or say, what are you? Like you define your identity, not what the people see. I think it's pretty cool. And also, I think it can help with like, I think people like in history have felt like they've been reduced to a skin color. Um, and I think culture helps them see their identity as, unique as theirs. Like it's like they gain back power over themselves. And I remember a video saying that, actually Black people have probably the most ethnic groups in the world, but like they're often reduced to like Black or African American. And it's so much more than that. It's like dozens and dozens of countries, and within those countries, even there's like this sort of mixity and different languages and history. And so it was good to recognize that, hey, this is not just a Black person, it's also a person from this origin who has this history. And I find it interesting.
Yeah, I guess for me, like when it came to like those things, I always found that it was harder for me to move through them because I felt like I was being judged by the circle that I colored in. And so that was something that I definitely had to move through. But the other thing that I had to move through was it didn't feel like there was like, when it comes to my children who are very, very mixed, it was like I had to like choose one category for them. It's like they're so mixed, they actually don't fit in any of these categories. Is there a way to expand this? And by watching that, reading that article, it just felt like they were giving us um, that freedom to really like see us, to really see who we really are, instead of just putting us under like a specific category. Like I was talking with my boys' dad, and he's like, "Do we mark them as white?" And I was like, "They're half black. Like they're not just white just because their skin tone is a little bit lighter. Like we have to really honor like who they are at the core. That is part of their identity, is that they are part black." And so even just having just some more options to really move from, it just feels like people are more open-minded. And I know that a lot of people have like deep upsets about how open our country is, especially like around the borders and like allowing people to come in. But that's part of what America is, like the land of the free. And so to be able to really have that freedom when it comes to sharing our identity is really huge and really important. And so I love that you brought this up as a topic to move through, because I could feel that I still had some upset about just like getting clear on my identity when it comes to these little bubbles that you got to fill in for your household. So yeah.
I'm just cracking up because you were like, for your household.
Yeah, I think, Kanisha, you shared something around just also that it brought up some feelings for you. So, and like, and I think that's one of the things is like, you know, that sense of freedom and empowerment, but also that sense of finally I get to show who I actually am. There's like, it's almost a sense of finally there's a place for me. Like I don't have to choose between one or the other. Finally, I don't have to leave part of me behind in order to complete a document, which I feel like is it's a whole next level shift. Because again, it comes back to the core of your truth. And yes, you know, it might be that it's specific things, but it's also specific to your choice. Like you get to choose, to truly choose in this space. There's nothing almost cutting off a part of your identity because these are the only components that you can actually consider. And so you have to just force yourself into this space. It's almost a next level allowing of individual and personal expansion, which is a whole nother layer of freedom and a whole nother layer of empowerment, and even just a whole nother layer of I belong. It's a sense of belonging that you can say, this is actually who I am, which is quite powerful in and of itself. Because I think one of the core things about us as people is we need to belong. Like if you don't feel like you fit in anywhere, you kind of feel lost. And so, yeah, like, you know, all of that energy and all of that thought process, and I just want to kind of put it out there with you guys as well to say, like with being able to do that, how much more do you have a sense of belonging now?
Yeah, it's definitely a deeper belonging, because I guess prior to like doing this inner work and even the BLM, it was like feeling like Black people were like invisible, or people of color are invisible, or somehow we are just lower below the Caucasians. But it's like now it just feels like there's an equality. There's a understanding. Like I know that when you look at some of those bubbles, there's things like, are you native or something else? And I was like, can I mark all of them? Because if we're gonna be honest, like this is Kenesha. Like, and so like be able to be seen in that way, and it just, yeah, it just feels like a deeper sense of being seen, of being recognized, of understanding that you can't, you really can't put people in categories that way. Now we're in 2021, y'all. Like there are so many mixed babies along this world now. Like I'm pretty sure everyone's mixed now these days. And so it's like really having to not be, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but like naive about it, and really being open-minded to the fact that like it is very common now to see mixed families that are either blended together and or that's just how they started. It was just as a mixed family. And so really being able to deeply recognize that is where our world is. Our world is really uniting in this way. There are people who are falling in love with people from different cultures. Like that's a huge thing about twin flames too, is you got people like people coming together from different parts of the country because that's just their person. And so to be open-minded to that and allow that to unfold instead of trying to keep it in these bubbles or these categories really just shows the growth. And it also feels like we're being heard as well. And so it's a really important thing. I didn't really see, like when this topic came up, I was kind of like, where are we going with this? But now that we're here, I'm like feeling really relieved. Feeling really loved in this space. So yeah.
It feels like a recognition. I was like, this was one of my childhood dreams, like, you know, that people could see how mixed we actually are. Like, and the article says that the United States is more multiracial now. I think it's more because like the people have been given the choice to express their history and their origins actually. And so people are finally waking up to the fact that, hey, there's been immigration in all these countries, in almost every country for decades, centuries. So at some point or another, there was like mixity, and that's bad. And we're all, even more so in the US, like they're all coming from, except for Native Americans, are all coming from families that have traveled to settle there, even though it was like 300 years ago. So yeah, and another thing I wanted to say is that it doesn't only affect like our sense of freedom. I think sometimes being put in a category is deeper than that. Obviously, there's like the structural racism that we all know about, but like at the beginning of the year, for example, I was doing a blood test, and there is a note like equation in one of the blood tests saying that this test is false for Black people, and so we're multiplying the result by 1.5 to make it more accurate. And so I remember discussing that with my dad, who's a doctor, and I was like, but wait, like, how? What do you mean, Black people? You know, I'm not the same ethnicity as other Black people, and we have white and Native American in my family. So what if this test result is like not accurate because of the equation? And it was like, well, but it's like that, and it's a tool to help us. And I was like, you know, it's still not accurate. And so, and yeah, it's an old test, like it's been there for I don't know, 100 years, ever since vaccines were invented. And so I'm like, it's probably time to, you know, look at that for the safety of the Black people of France, you know, update that test. And yeah, so because there was this lack of recognition and this lack of acknowledgement, I could say, of the people of color of predominantly Caucasian nations, there are still things like that today. And so, you know, acknowledging all of these identities is like acknowledging that there are steps to take to even that out and actually do the work for all of the country, not just Caucasians.
Yeah, like when I feel into it, like I have this profound sense of greater acceptance of just the blendedness of humanity. You know, it's a much, I don't literally, and that's the word. Like for years and years, it's been so categorized and cut and dry, and you know, just in one change in a certain process, the sense of the blendedness of all of us just comes through much more powerfully. It's almost like finally there isn't this deep requirement to fit inside of a stupid box that literally means nothing. And like when I feel into it, it's like yeah, it's just this, you know, that sense that we had at the start of BLM, just that energy of the tapestry of who we are as people starts to feel like it's coming through so much more.
Yeah, that really comes back to like us claiming our power over time. I feel that I had mentioned before, like when I started BLM, I was in this really deep like victimhood energy and feeling very unfair and not seen and unworthy. And now it feels uncomfortable to like feel into that. It's not the energy I'm in anymore. But it's really like, yeah, having to claim your power. And I feel that the deeper that we've gone into really doing this work, and it has really started to reflect in society. You have a lot more people of color like showing up as their authentic selves. I know that they had you guys posted an article about like Rihanna. I'm not quite sure of her background. I know that she is Black, but I'm not quite sure of her background. If someone else knows, that'd be great to like chime in. But to be, I think she's the second richest, wealthiest Black woman in the world, like right behind Oprah, which is really amazing. That's just really great role models for the people of color society, especially young children, where they're growing up believing that they have to fight for what they want, that they won't be chosen first. And it's like, no, if you choose that within yourself, that is the reality that you will receive. You don't have to go based off of what society tells you, what your parents tell you. And so it's really just, I just feel like over the last like year, it's really shown that as a small group of us really start to claim our power, it will overflow into the rest of us. It's just that energy that expands. The deeper you go into love, it has to expand. And so I really feel that as we choose and claim our power, we're really giving permission to our brothers and sisters of color to do the same.
Yeah, I think you touched on quite an important thing in terms of that energy of pioneering things. And I think we touched on it last week, and we've also kind of just, you know, in talking through where we're at and the community that we're part of, just how Jeff and Shaleia have pioneered a certain piece of work. And in following them, we've been able to pioneer another piece of work that's attached to their work and just heal through into those spaces, as you said, where there was a sense of powerlessness, a sense of victimhood, a sense of being enslaved. And the one thing that kind of just stands out for me is that we're not even enslaved to categories anymore, which just feels so powerful.
Absolutely.
Rihanna is from the Caribbean, actually. Yay.
There we go. Thank you.
It's from Barbados. Like, it's
There we go.
cool knowing the history of the United States, and especially with Puerto Rico, and seeing as they treat them as kind of like second-class citizens. It's really powerful to see Black women and Black Caribbean women, you know, so powerful and claiming their wealth and place.
Yeah, especially women. Like, for instance, like one of the things that I love about Rihanna is that she is about seeing every aspect of people. Like she has her own line of like lingerie and clothing, and she was like, I want every size of person, every size of female, every size of man. Like, I don't care, I want them all. I want the world to see how beautiful each person is. And that's really like the type of like leaders and inspirational people that we really need. Is like, I want to see everyone. Like, there is not one person that is the same. They are all uniquely created, but at the core they all desire love and connection and to belong. And that's one thing that I truly love about her, and that's why she loves so deeply, which is, it shows. She's been rewarded back for that, and that love has come back to her in many ways. And so I just love like what she stands for, and that is really unity and oneness and understanding that like every facet of person is absolutely deeply beautiful, and that's her point that she loves to get across.
Yeah, and she really paved the way, especially in cosmetics. Like, try finding the right shade of, you know, makeup for you before 2016. Like, it was almost impossible, or very,
Yeah.
very expensive.
Yeah.
And so she was a pioneer, at least in that, and I think in many things as well, even in music and in the styles that she incorporated in her art. And so it's really beautiful to see. And it shows that hard work really pays off.
Yeah, the thing, and you know, the thing that I like, and that what I read in the article was just, you know, the fact that she has 50 different shades of foundation for just about every skin tone, and all those foundations are used in all their advertising, that kind of thing. And I think it's what you're speaking to, Kanisha, in terms of the core of love. The core of love in that space, that there is something for everybody. Like she didn't choose to love specifically. She chose to love very openly.
Yep.
Which again is I think that's the core of the work, is that the more openly you love, the more it's free to flow back. And one of the things that stood out for me in the article was that she didn't make her fortune from the music industry. That's not where her fortune is coming from. Her fortune's coming from the cosmetics line and the clothing line. And, you know, just in feeling into that, like, you can just, like, the difference between finding something that actually fits you versus having to let go of a desire because it wasn't, there's nobody catering to your body shape or your skin tone or anything like that. It's a whole nother level of feeling unseen. And so as this kind of thing happens and somebody says, well, actually, I want something for everybody, not because I want it, but because they need it, because I want to provide the service. It's like literally when Jeff and Shaleia say to us, answer the call of love. Give the gift that you have to give. And I think this was her profound gift to give to people. And that's why she's being so abundantly blessed by giving that profound gift. Because yes, like music-wise, I'm not Rihanna's greatest fan, but like I have a new layer or level of respect when I read something that says, actually, I wanted to make it so that any person could find what they're looking for. That's a whole nother level of respect. That I can support, that I can get behind, because it's seeing the core of the person.
She's providing a deep value.
Exactly. But like to almost their truest desire to feel good, to look good. And honestly, I can't say that I've ever come across anybody that doesn't desire to feel good or look good. So like when somebody says this is the gift, that's a whole nother level of, again, feeding the sense of belonging, the sense of being seen, the sense of being heard, the sense of being supported.
Yeah, and like what you say, that how it's like coming back to like the census thing too, is like, so for instance, like one of the biggest top, I don't know how we got into lingerie, but that's how we got here, it was Victoria's Secret. And Victoria's Secret only fits so many women. Like if you ask people about Victor, like I don't like it because they have no size for me. Like I just don't fit there. And when Victoria's Secret puts ads, it's these tiny little girls, and they have this runway show, and half the population doesn't even want to watch it because now they're very self-conscious about their body. And like, I don't look like her, so why would I even purchase that? Because I'm not even gonna look the same there. And so there comes to those like specific bubbles of like, I don't fit in that category. And then you have Rihanna, who's like, let me just give you the actual range of categories, because this is the truth. This is where everyone does fit. And so I think even Victoria's Secret was like going bankrupt or something, because the core and their value and what they provided was for such a small amount of people that it wasn't built on a foundation of love. It was built on a foundation of what can we sell, what can we provide right now in this instance, not what can we provide over time, what's the value over time. And so yeah, when you were saying that, those things were connecting for me, of understanding like her purpose was to give value to all and not just a specific genre of people or a specific body type of people. And so I absolutely love that that's what she did. And to also know that like she had a bigger purpose than just music, because there's a lot of people in the music industry that are just like, oh, I'm meant to sing and that's it, and I make money here and cool, that's awesome, I'm fine with that. And she was like, no, I now have this income, I want to provide, I want to give back, I want to be able to give people all that I didn't have, or now that I have it, like I want to share that. That's like the most important thing, is that she wants to be able to share her wealth beyond just her music, and being able to do that. And I know when she came into the music industry, she was the unique one. She was like this chick from Barbados, and people were like, who the hell is this chick? And she had to find her place. And she always comes back. I've listened to a whole bunch of interviews for her, and she comes back to just God, like God gave me this gift, and I could either spend this lifetime spoiling it and acting like it's not important, or I can like really go deep into this purpose that he gave me and expand my gifts to everyone else. And I love that about her. So it makes sense on why she's one of the richest females. And so yeah, she's her heart is about love. She wants to just give love, and that's why she has so many opportunities. Like, she is so faceted. She's not just music. She's an actress too. She's been in movies, and she is making her name for herself, but she's doing it out of love. She's like, it's not about the money for me. It's about what I can give.
Yeah, I think she also like showcases how when you're yourself, like you just being yourself changes the world because you know, she made that like 54 shade extension, whatever the fuck of foundation and it like put pressure on everyone else like in the industry too to expand their foundation as well. So yeah, I mean, she didn't even all she did was just be herself for that to happen. And now like you find other brands like Juvia's Place and Makeup Forever and like all these other brands that have like a very wide range of foundation as well. And it's really cool because like you were saying, like before 2016, there's like certain brands that they didn't even like have dark colors, and like that's just like messed up, you know, because there's so many shades of people on the planet. So yeah, like her gifts, yeah, she really she went hard. She forced everyone else around her to level up too, and that's like part of it as well, because like you don't have to control anything, you just be yourself and give your gift.
I think
I like what you said in terms of just giving the gift. So, and I think that that's part of the core of it is honor the gift, and the gift will honor you. And it's like it's just such a profound picture to watch, and that's why, you know, like even when we come back into that sense of self-identification, your identity is also a gift. And so where you're not allowed to fully stand in your identity, you also don't feel honored. It doesn't feel honoring. And so we have the sense of people having watered down senses of themselves, whereas when you start to open up this kind of self-identification process, you allow people to really honor themselves as well, which is a much more powerful way to even just interact with life.
I agree completely. I think before this shift, I was feeling like I don't really exist in society, or like I'm watered down, as you said, or invisible. And now that I honor myself, I see that I have so much more energy to give, so much more complexity than what people make me out to be, basically, because a lot of people are saying like, oh, you're this, you're that, you're a skin color, but like there's so much more beneath it. And it was good to recognize that. And so it was good that finally, like in the 2010s, like we recognize that we exist. And also that when we feel invisible, it's detrimental to all of society, basically, because many brands are shooting themselves in the foot. I think I already said that once. Many brands are shooting themselves in the foot by not recognizing the economic power of, again, like one of the most diverse category of the world, which is Black people, you know. So yeah, it feels good. And it feels very relieving to see that being your complete self and being relaxed in that is just going to change the world naturally.
Yeah, I love that you say that. One of the things that I experienced this last week, of like just really truly being yourself, because like society will try to like change you or feel like you have to show up a certain way or look a certain way. And one of the things that I've really been exploring this last year is just like my look and like how I identify with myself. So like you guys have seen me in braids and all different types of things. But this last week I was out and about and I found that just being my true natural self and just showing up is where I receive the most compliments, or like people just are drawn to you because you're in your just natural energy or natural power. And that was really profound for me because I was like, wow, I've spent a lot of time wasting energy trying to show up a certain way or look a certain way. And when I just show up as me, it's like I'm seeing the most. And that was really profound to like understand I can just relax into my natural being. I can just relax into just Kanisha instead of trying to show up in a certain way, just be. And that's where I'm my most powerful.
I love what you just shared because, you know, it's something that I actually just worked through today with my coach in terms of just kind of letting go of some of the crap, you know, and kind of almost 3/4 of the way through our coaching session, it was just this kind of sense of normality and naturalness and just actually becoming even more aware of myself. Like it was, you know, like, and it was quite bizarre because it wasn't like this, oh, deep, profound, like cart pole vault into myself kind of feeling. It was just like all of a sudden it was just like there, like just this fuller awareness of me. And I think that that's the energy that I also feel when it comes into like talking about how we identify. Because the energy of you comes through as you're allowed to say who you are. And it doesn't have to be who you were last week. It doesn't even have to be who you were yesterday. It's just the core of your truth in this moment. And it's such a more profound and peaceful and natural state to be in, which is, I think, the thing that that this full year of conversation has kind of allowed us to come back to. It's kind of allowed us to come almost full circle back to ourselves as we kind of shave off the illusions, because it kind of has been a shaving process, like, you know, almost. And the sense I had earlier was like, I've actually been pushing life away in not being fully in myself. And when I was more aware of myself, I just realized how much I hadn't allowed myself to receive what was already there. Because I was kind of in the energy of, well, it's not there, so I'm going to just push it away, push it away, push it away. And when I feel into the naturalness of me, it's like, but it's always been there. And it's not this aha moment. It's just like this relax into the fuller awareness of yourself. And I think this is what owning your identity more feels like. And that's why, for me, it's such a significant step forward where somebody takes a form and goes, actually, you tell me who you are, as opposed to you take a piece of this thing that I'm telling you to take.
So I did pull a card, and then I would love to hear from Drake afterwards. But our card is surrender to non-action. Now is the time to be still and not act. Simply breathe and focus on your own power. Let others come to you.
I like that card. It's very peaceful. I mean, it's always pretty cool to like come here and see what we're all working on, because like I literally worked through this in like my session yesterday. We're just like claiming my power and my divinity. So it's so nice to just be able to like see how connected I am to like all of you guys, even though like I'm not like of color, you know, I'm just like a supporter and wanting to like be here and heal. But I think like coming to this group and just like being a part of it and like and healing along with you guys have just made me realize even more like that we're all just one, you know, and we're all healing together. And yeah, it's just really nice to see, you know, especially with like reading the article, it's like just the reflection back of the inner work. And not that we're doing the inner work to like get the results, but just like, you know, it's still nice to have like the, hey, you know, you're doing well, you know, like you're doing good. Like on class on Saturday with Jeff was talking about how like he had this chair that like was taking forever to come in, and then he finally got the chair. I think Kanisha knows about this, but he finally got the chair, and they were like, yeah, it's just like reflecting our inner work and saying like we're more supported, you know. And so that's just what it reminded me of. But yeah, I think that's just what I'm feeling right now, is I just feel like really connected to you guys. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
thank you
that's
for
all I have
sharing.
to say. Thank you for calling on me.
Of course. Yeah, no, it is it really, yeah, you're right. It's not about like being able to see it reflected back, but really being able to like have that piece and then it be reflected back, and you're just like, ah, like yeah, I knew that was gonna happen, but I appreciate just like that awareness. And I appreciate, it's like how I see it, it's like when you're going on like a trip and you're wanting to get there and there's a sign that says like you're this close and you're this much closer and you're this much closer. It's like when you receive those, sometimes you're like, oh, like even this is just letting me know that like I'm on the right path, I'm in the right direction. I've done what God has asked me to do here. So I love that completely. And also it is important to hear that you feel that oneness, even though yes, you may not be a person of color, however, you're healing from it too, and you're learning and you're going deeper into love. And um, you're also, by you healing within, like you're helping people not of color be more open to receiving and healing in this space as well. That's something that I've definitely noticed in my life, is people that are not of color are definitely much more open to hearing and being able to learn about these things instead of being so defensive about it.
He was all creeping up behind you. It was so cute.
He knows it too. That's how you know we're healing, is because the child's like, ooh, this feels good, I'm going to come in this space.
Yeah, I really love your card. For me, it was a message like we don't have to prove anything right now. So we only need to be ourselves. It is really damn good message. I like it.
Yeah, can you just show us the card again? I'm glad she brought it up because it was non-action. Yeah, I like it too.
What I also like about her is she has like this unicorn horn. And so it's like, she's just unique. She is different. That's one thing that they also brought up about Charlie. Jeff and Shaleia talk about how Charlie, even though he's a dog, he feels like a unicorn. He feels, because he just responds differently than a dog, or how most dogs should. And that's something that has been brought up for me, is like I respond differently than a lot of my brothers and sisters of color, because that's all they know. And because I've learned differently and I'm evolving in this energy and evolving in love, that I might look a little different than the rest of them because I'm moving through this, but it's okay. It's okay to show up just as yourself. And then you're just giving permission to the rest of them to show up as themselves uniquely. So but that requires you just to claim your power. You don't have to do anything outside of yourself to do that. Just claiming your power and your true divinity and allowing God to do the rest.
Now, I think you've touched on quite an important component in just talking to the truth of our divinity in this space, because I think that's part of the identity that we have been learning. Let's say we hadn't in the past, but right now it's the kind of the identity that we've been learning to accept, to understand, and to kind of own. Like that the core of us all, there's divinity. And so we can identify with it. And as it becomes our identity, we can relax into it. We can own the truth of who we are at a deeper level, which is, I think it's just the profound sense of the healing work that all of us have chosen to undertake.
I like this. Yeah, I was just thinking like we're just relaxing in our divinity, and the beautiful thing about it is that being your divine self doesn't look anything like another person being your divine self. And I like that. I think I understood that on a deeper level just a few days ago, how it's really important to see that we are all created uniquely by God, without constraints, of course, but like we are all different expressions of God. And yeah, I'm okay with being different, looking different, if it's being myself and shining my light in the world and doing my life purpose.
Yeah, that's why it's so important, like in this community, that we share our healing and we share what we're moving through, because we're sharing with our brothers and sisters a different expression of God. And it's our job to share that with them, just so that they're able to move through. Like that's one thing that I love about this community is even one of us moving through something. It's really easy to feel alone in this journey if you're not really claiming your support and receiving it. But once you do and you just share yourself authentically, you find how many people you've really helped just by sharing yourself in that way. Like that may have not been an intention to help them, but because you loved in this space and you just shared yourself authentically, God will move through you in the way that he needs to help that person. And that has been really profound for me, because for a while I was not sharing because I thought my sharing wasn't enough or it wasn't perfect or whatever it was. And then when I found that I would share just out of fun or just to do something, in response, I had people like reach out like, oh, thank you so much for sharing that. That was huge for me. And I'm like, why am I not sharing more? Like there's been times where I've been guided to share more, but because of my fear or because the way I think I'm supposed to show up or not feeling received or whatever it is really not claiming your power, you prevent yourself from expressing genuinely in the way that God really desires you to express yourself. And it's just like other card that came out was surrender stubbornness. It's very relevant to me. But it says if you're tensing up or taking a rigid stance about something, gently observe yourself and become more yielding. This will help you communicate more lovingly with others and yourself. And so that really comes back to having to just relaxing into your divinity. If you're being stubborn, you can't relax into something. And so it's really safe to relax into your unique divine self. That's one of the things I love Jeff had pointed out. He was like, no one's special. Everyone's unique. Quit thinking that you're like some special person. However, you are a unique divine being. And I was like, I like that. I received that.
I feel like that's a really good place to end our conversation today. How do you guys feel about that?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Say what, Willis? Oh, so I think that's that feels good and complete to me. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for another conversation around why Black Lives Matter. To everybody that's been sharing with us, following us, thank you. And also, please feel free to continue to like and subscribe to our Church of Union YouTube channel, where you will find all our previous conversations in our series on why Black Lives Matter. And we look forward to seeing all of you next week for another conversation. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.